Happy Monday, guy.
This is a big week for
Yeah.
CNBC's Fast Money. It's Cannabis Week, and this is in your power alley. I mean, you're the Pete Alonso, you're the koala bear of
No,
cannabis.
I mean, I see myself, right. Look, I kind of go, the other way up the power alley where we're going
Right.
like 405 to 410 up the right center power alley where I probably hit my best power. But if you
You're
think
hitting
about, yeah, think
you're hitting the
about,
ball where it's pitched, and that's exactly what you want to do in cannabis. You don't want to be a straight pull hitter. You don't want to be a one-trick pony. You want to go to
or a
all
one
different
hit,
fields.
you don't want to be a one hit wonder in the cannabis world. Not that you would even know what that means, because that would get into some entendre that would imply that I know you don't really dabble, so let's get this out there.
Puff the magic dragon.
It doesn't.
But
it
before
doesn't,
we start, so it got me thinking, like, I know my favorite week is Shark Week, which I think we're in the midst of right now, by the way. I think Shark Week, by the way, is now turned into
Why is
Shark
that your favorite week? I mean,
Summer.
but there've been some major shark sightings and I think some big chomps this summer on Long Island. So I don't know why you're happy about that.
No, I am happy about that because nature is taking over once again the way it should.
Right.
We have some right to be able to go into the ocean without any
Amityville, Amityville, like the Amityville Horror, or Amity. Excuse me. We've done this before, haven't we?
Means friendship. Anyway, so Shark Week. I know you're probably like Holy Week because I know you teach catechism. Look, this is Cannabis Week.
The big weeks out there, right? If we were playing Family Feud right now, and they said, Seymour family, give me your top 10 weeks, I'd probably lead off with Holy Week. I'd probably have to get in there Biker Week in Daytona. Fleet Week, certainly always big around the Memorial Day weekend in New York City. We missed that one this year. But Cannabis Week. So it's Cannabis Week on Fast Money this week. And it's Weed Week, actually. And we're going to go through the setup that was, look, the industry that, there's a lot of puns and they may happen accidentally here, but took the investment world by fire about 2 years ago. And some of that really flamed out. In fact, the blunt was frankly, blunt, and it didn't go so well, not only because a lot of companies that came to market really weren't real companies, or they were fabrications of capital markets. You had the dynamic of Canada being the only real federal legal environment, which meant that the Canadian companies were able to list in the New York Stock Exchange and get valuations that they didn't deserve. Doesn't make them bad guys, doesn't make them frauds, doesn't make them, it means that the Canadian market as a total federal market is smaller significantly than the state of California's market. So what we're going to talk about this week, and I'm curious kind of your perspective as a guy that's been following the industry, but I think I value kind of what you've thought about it as a guy that's seen a lot of different investment phases come and go. What's fascinating to me, and the reason we're doing this now, is the big four companies in the US, and they would be Trulieve, GTI, Cresco Labs, and Curaleaf. They're all companies with market caps anywhere from $2.5 billion up to $6 billion. They're all profitable now. They're all well-run companies, and frankly, they're everything that I think people wanted to see. So I'll stop talking for a second. But cannabis, the cannabis craze, and Weed Week, I think it's relevant because many sectors we've talked about with the tailwind from COVID-19, so is this one. But this one, as we know, had a lot of hype for a long time.
Well, I mean, it's clear. This is not a fly-by-night industry. I mean, this is here to stay. I think you're in the very early innings of this. I think people come a lot more, and you can speak this much more intelligently than I, but I think when the banking world sort of really gets around this and the ability to do interstate banking and those types of things, which I can't speak to, but once that is sort of figured out, I think it's off to the races. And we're probably not there yet. I think everybody's sort of positioning themselves for when that happens, but it's coming sooner rather than later. And my sense is, and again, you know better than I, but this is probably, this is not a political issue. I think both sides have sort of a stake in this game, and I think it's going to get pushed through.
You got it. And I was talking this morning with the CEO of Cresco Labs, Charlie Bechtel, and they are one of the big four. And I was asking him a little bit about what do you expect in the fall? What do you expect on the legislative side? Because one of the reasons why I started investing in cannabis was it reminded me a lot of investing in emerging markets, and that some of these big picture macro elements, in many cases, it was just investability of being allowed to invest in local markets. And so using that comparison. So for cannabis, a lot of this was, hey, is this state, when California went full rec in January 2018, it's basically that rally started in late 2016. Just like same thing with when Canada. So what's the November election going to bring? You hit it though. No matter which side of the aisle you're on, this is a bipartisan issue, excuse me, but one where there's an argument from both sides why this is politically expedient for them. And I do mean because of the jobs it's created in this country. I do mean because of the holes it's filling on the budget side. But I can just tell you, in talking to both Charlie Bechtel and talking to other major CEOs, this conversation is now being had in rooms in Washington. It was never being had before. So some type of federal progress, it doesn't have to be a full descheduling, is something that we're having. But the question I ask to you is do you think that this has got the kind of legs that we've seen with other industries, either consumer fads, manias, whether it's craft liquors or when booze was going through certain evolution in terms of its advertising, or do you think it's even bigger than that?
No, I think it's bigger than that. I think look, obviously neither one of us were around. We've read our history books, but to me, this is probably eerily reminiscent of what happened around Prohibition and in the before and in the aftermath, and how people were positioning themselves for it. And I think that's what we're seeing now. It's also probably akin to legalized gambling, by the way, which a lot of people position themselves ahead of time, figure it's just a matter of time. And now, look, here we are. And you see what's happening with the DraftKings of the world. And that's not going anywhere. That's here to stay. So I don't think it's a fad at all. It's a real industry. And it's more than just people puffing the magic dragon, to quote Adam Sandler or Ben Stiller, or whoever it was in one of those lousy movies, Meet the Fockers.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. Peter, Paul, and Mary. I mean,
which, by the way, quickly before, everybody says they like Peter, Paul, and Mary. Peter, Paul, and Mary don't like Peter, Paul, and Mary. They suck, okay? Just for the record. And don't ask me, folks.
I don't know why so aggressive against Peter, Paul, and Mary. All they did was write folk songs and walk around barefoot with flowers in their hair. Right. Peter, Paul, I believe they made Almond Joy, though, didn't they? I mean,
and as you know, Almond Joys have nuts, mounds don't. I always was a more Almond Joy person, because I didn't like the whole, I like the nut in it. Like I like Nestle's Crunch. I like things I like Snickers bars. I like Snickers with almonds.
I think we've probably done this, and I'm sure the folks that think these are our old man moments here, but I'm going to do this again. Nestle's Crunch or Crackle with a K?
First of all, it's the same thing, but given the choice between the two, it's a Nestle's Crunch. I'm a Nestle's Crunch guy, because I think Crackle with a K is a Hershey's product, and I always went more the Nestle with the accent goo. Yeah,
I'm kind of with you. I think this is the same thing. So what do you do with a Snickers versus a Payday? Payday.
Oh, no. It's not even, no. I mean, that's not, it's like, what do I do with the Yankees versus the Mets? I mean, it's not even worthy of a discussion. By the way, good for your Mets. And I said it, and you know this before we go.
You said what?
I said, you watch and see, once Yoenis was out of the picture, this team is going to right the ship. And that's exactly what's happening. So I want you, and you gave me credit that night. You said my methods were wrong, but
you want credit for being able to call the turn in the Mets season, which implies you actually feel like it's got some legs to it.
Hey, all of a sudden they're playing winning baseball, and Edwin Diaz is no longer putting gasoline on the fire. He actually the 18 Diaz.
No, and as we talk about guys that came over in big acquisitions for their respective teams that were very questionable. Do you think Stanton makes it off the DL before the end of the year? And again, is Giancarlo, is he your current version of Jacoby Ellsbury?
See, that you're just trying to wind me up. You can't do it. It's a nice day. Giancarlo will be back in a week and a half, and he'll be dialing 9 like he always does. I have zero worries there, just so you understand.
Well, before I hang up on you, it may be a week and a half, but it's absolutely Weed Week on CNBC's Fast Money this week. So we're going to be talking about this, and we'll be talking about Stanton all year and when he's due to come back. Have a good day.
Later.